back on here with Mike North from Hollywood Casino. And really, this guy doesn't need any introduction, but I will make it brief as I can. All-American, Brigham Young University, Super Bowl quarterback with the Chicago Bears, playing for the Green Bay Packers now, Super Bowl quarterback with them. Guy is a Chicago resident still. In fact, he couldn't wait to get home, back to his palatial state. Ladies and gentlemen, Jim McMahon. Get right up here, big guy. Can you make it? They still love you, buddy. Full house. Full house. They still love you out here. And I'll tell you what, the first thing I said is, I still can't believe when I see it, a Green Bay Packer hat on your head.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's a little strange for me too, but it's been a fun year and a half that I've been up there, and it's a great organization. It's a lot different than what I thought when I was playing against them all those years.
Well, it was a different organization when you were playing against them. There were different guys. Ron Wolf wasn't there. Mike Holmgren wasn't there. You were there during the Forrest Gregg cheap shot years and stuff like that. They just revamped the organization, and it worked.
There was a lot of bad blood, but since they have had the renovations there, Holmgren is a class coach and a class guy to work for, and it's been a lot of fun.
I don't know if it's because you're getting older, but all I could say is when you first walked in upstairs to the green room tonight, I said, geez, why wasn't he in shape like that when he played for the Bears? I mean, you look good, man. I mean, slim and trim.
I was in shape when I played for the Bears.
There's that picture of you with the Bear jersey on, the gut hanging over the belt. I mean, I said...
I was early in training camp.
I said, I don't care as long as the guy can throw it around.
I started the season 195 every year.
How disappointed were you that you didn't get in the game? I was saying, and I think a lot of people were saying, all right, listen, they got the game by 13, 14 points. There's about 3, 4, 5 minutes left. Get Jimmy Mack in there, give him an opportunity to be in his second Super Bowl in New Orleans.
Well, I really didn't want to go in the ball game at that point in time. I mean, I played in the Super Bowl when it meant something. I mean, I didn't want to go in and mop up. In fact, I told Coach Holmgren prior to us getting the ball back, I said, if we do get the ball back, I said, why don't you let Doug play? You know, he's been in the league 4 years, and it'd be nice for him to get a few snaps. I said, I don't want to go out there and ruin my rushing average again. It's killing me all year, those kneel downs, man.
I'm telling you, yeah, you know what?
My career rushing average is going way down now. You know that.
Let me ask you about how you feel right now. I mean, you don't get a whole lot of playing time. Your body's had time to heal. How's your arm right now? I mean, compare your arm now to maybe 5, 6 years ago. I mean, can you still throw 50, 55 yards?
In fact, my arm right now is better than it has been since college.
Okay.
I'm throwing the ball as good as I did when I came out of college. And
really?
Oh, yeah.
You can still get zip on the out patterns, the 15-yard out pattern, stuff like that?
You know, I've been throwing the ball well for the last couple of years. They just won't let me play anymore. So.
Yeah. Well,
now that I finally got my, body healed and my arm feels great, and, I don't get any chance to play now. I feel as good now as when I did coming out of college. Okay, so let me ask you this. If a certain coach from a certain town was to call you up and say, look, and I know this for a fact, Jim Everett doesn't seem like Mike Ditka's type of quarterback. But, things went pretty good for you. You got your second Super Bowl ring, although I don't think it means even a quarter or half as much as the first one because you were the man on the Chicago Bears team. If he called you and said, listen, Jimmy, I got 3 years here. I got to revamp this this offense fast. Would you go with the Saints as a starter, or would you stay with Green Bay as a second string guy, knowing maybe that, Brett Favre has been cheating the odds, staying healthy the whole season long? What would you do? Well, I've got another year on my contract in Green Bay, so unless there's going to be a trade, which I doubt that would happen at this point in time. But, in fact, I went up to Mike during the coin toss of the Super Bowl. I know, and that was a classy thing to do. It really was. He just whispered to me that, hey, you beat me back here, didn't you? And I said, yeah. And I told him, I said, yeah, I've already informed Holmgren you're probably going to, give up 2 first-rounders for me, but I think I'm going to stay up in Green Bay. You know what? Yeah, I've been through those practices before. I don't want to do that again. How tough are the Green Bay practices compared to what Ditka used to run? Because these New Orleans Saints, I think. Walk in the park. Really? Oh, it's been so nice. I mean, it's actually fun going to work again, not knowing that you don't have to run yourself. The 110s? Oh, we don't do any of that. We don't run. We don't. We weren't in pads probably the second week of November. We took the pads off and went inside in the the Don Hudson Center up there, their barn they got up there, and we practice without pads. We don't run a whole lot, and it's great for the body come playoff time.
See, I didn't know that you had another year left. I thought he had like an option. Is it an option type of situation in this contract?
I signed a 2-year deal this past summer, and I like it up there. I mean, for what I do, or for what he asked me to do, which is basically nothing.
You get paid a lot of money.
You know, if I can just fight the boredom, I'll go back and do it again next year.
Well, I'll tell you what, you guys weren't too boring this year. I mean, that Green Bay team had me fooled. I didn't know if you guys could do it. You guys ended up doing it. Jimmy McMahon, he's got 2 Super Bowl rings now. You also beat McCaskey to the Super Bowl. He had plans on going there already. I'm sure that broke your heart. Hey, Mike North live at Hollywood Casino with Jim McMahon. Back after this. Mike North live at Hollywood Casino on Sports Channel with Jim McMahon. And Jimmy, let's talk about your family first. I remember about 4, 5, 6 years ago, about 5 years ago, you did a show for me called Electric Sports, and I remember your 2 kids there. But you got another one that you brought today. The other 2 stayed at home, right?
Yeah, the other 3 are at home. This is my youngest, Zachary. He's 6 years old now.
6 years old.
He wasn't around for the last Super Bowl, but he enjoyed this. He enjoyed this one.
And now, what are the other kids' names?
Ashley's 13, Sean's 12, and Alexis is 9.
Boy, time flies, man, huh?
Yeah, they were. In fact,
and your wife?
Ashley and Sean were the only 2 that were at the first Super Bowl, and they were 2-1, and I think they had a lot more fun this time around.
And your wife? And I mean, did they all stay here in Chicago when you were working?
No, all the family moved up except for Ashley.
Well, yeah, like a little log cabin up in Green Bay. Is that what it is?
It's a little house, a little duplex. You know,
yeah.
Just renting.
Because I know the way now that you're accustomed to living with your palatial estate. Does it take some time to get used to it?
It's not. I mean, you go to work and you come home and then it's, you know, you eat dinner and you go to bed. But so
you can't hide there. You can't hide in Green Bay. You can't pull the antics you used to pull.
Green Bay. Yeah,
That's right.
It's a small town, but you know, the kids had a great time up there, and my daughter Ashley, she stayed home because she's going to be in high school next year, so she didn't want to really leave her friends, and so my sister-in-law came out and lived with her this year, and everything worked out pretty good.
Beautiful. Hey, let's talk about Ditka now. Mike Ditka, like you said, you talked to him, you shook hands with him up at the Superdome. What do you think is going to happen up there? I mean, he signs a 3-year deal. He has turned things around before, but I think the Bear nucleus of 1982 was a little bit better. You had guys like Peyton ready to roll, and they had just drafted you, and Hartenstein was there. You had some guys. What do you think is going to happen up there, seriously?
Well, they're going to be in for a bit of a shock probably the first couple of weeks. They're going to work. There's no doubt about it. He'll have them working. I know he's got a few guys on his staff already. Dick Stanfield, who was with the Bears. He hired Danny Neal, who was my center when I first got with the Bears. I don't know who else is on his staff at this point, but that's the key. You got to get good coaches around you, and then let them coach. You know, I think if Mike lets these guys coach and tries not to get too involved in every little bit of every little phase of the football team, I think he'll be successful.
You know, they talk about the modern athlete now. It seems to be the new thing now, and they're saying, can Mike Ditka handle the modern athlete? And just seems to me, I haven't heard a player tell a coach in the 90s to kiss his ass. Like the player I'm thinking of did in the 80s. And when you stop and think about the modern athlete.
Who would that be?
You know, I'm just saying, I think the 85, 86, 87 squad, if you want to compare the modern day athletes now to that renegade squad, there's no comparison. I mean, there was a bunch of characters on that team that were sure of themselves and would tell Ditka just how they felt.
That's true.
But not today, right? I mean, do they go up to Mike Holmgren? I mean, does a player go up to Mike Holmgren and go, hey, you know what, if you don't like it, do this or do that?
Well, I think it's a different situation. You know, Holmgren treats guys a little differently than Mike did.
Like human beings, maybe?
When somebody yells at you, it kind of forces you to yell back, or that's.
But what was cool about it is you were allowed to yell back. I think with some coaches there'd be suspensions or whatever like that. You know what I mean?
Nowadays there might be some hurt feelings, yeah. But guys might get fired or traded, or. But it's a different situation. You know, Mike. That's just the way Mike Ditka was. I mean, he was a volatile guy, and we had a lot of guys that like to voice their opinions also. but I think everybody had the same goal, and that was to win.
Right.
And I think that was the common thread that we had going, is even though we kind of were at odds every now and then, we wanted to win, and that's what it's all about.
Well, you know, the thing that Ditka, I think, did was shoot straight with you, too. I mean, he'd tell you if he thought, you know, you're sucking up the field right now, or you'd tell him, hey, you know what, maybe we're sucking up the field because of the way you're coaching, stuff like that. But, you know, I'm looking at it now, and Walter Payton was on the radio show the other day when Ditka was on with us. He says, listen, anything you need. Now, this is a guy in the board of directors of the Bears. He hasn't been to Platteville in 10 years. He tells Ditka, listen, you want me to come up to lacrosse, teach those running backs you have how to block, I'll do it. And it just seems to me the former Bears that I've heard talking about Ditka now, the Fensics, the Paytons, the Culverts, I've heard them all talk. The respect factor for Ditka is still there. It seems like you guys respect him more now than you did then. Would that be a fair assessment?
No, I think we always had a lot of respect for him. Mm-hmm. As a coach and as a man, because he told you the way he saw it, mm-hmm. and everybody respects that in a coach. I've played for 7 different guys now, and there's some that don't let you know what's going on, mm-hmm. and it's very frustrating. At least with Mike, you knew where you stood, and there was a lot of respect. I would have loved to play with him. He was a great football player, mm-hmm. and it's just at times, we had different opinions on how to get things done, and I didn't feel that we needed to beat our heads into the wall all the time. I've run the football, running Walter the way we did. We could have used him, I think, in a lot of different ways and still been effective. He might still be playing. Who knows? I mean, the guy's in great shape.
I'll tell you this, he could play for the New Orleans Saints. He could start for them tomorrow. Hey, we're going to take a break. Jim McMahon, Mike North, live at Hollywood Casino. Back before Jimmy Mack in a minute. North back live at Hollywood Casino. Jim McMahon. And first of all, Jimmy, I want to thank you for coming out. Ed Belfour was supposed to be our guest, and I said after the last show, if he doesn't get traded, he got traded on 2 days' notice. Jimmy Mack said, I'll come out for you. So give him a hand. Appreciate that.
Well, you owe me big time for this.
I owe you big time. I definitely owe you big time. Hey, let's talk about life after football, all right? I can't see you really holding down any kind of job.
I can't either.
I just think you're one of these guys that's a free-spirited guy. What you see is what you get. I mean, do you have any plans to do anything? Would you like to maybe work as a bank guard or maybe sitting? Because that's your kind of gig. You just sit around. Of course, who knows, someday there might be a robbery and you might have to go, hey. I mean, can you see yourself doing anything after football?
I really don't have any desire to have a job. I never did. My whole life, all I wanted to do was play sports.
Uh-huh.
Whether it be, I ended up playing football. I always wanted to play baseball, but I never really saw myself having a 9-to-5, sit down at a desk type of job. Even though what I'm doing now is pretty much 9 to 5. Although we do get that release on Sunday to get out and go play.
Has it seemed like work to you more since you're not playing now, and since you know you still have to prepare, but you may not play?
Yeah, it's definitely much more of a job now because that's all you're doing is study and you go to practice. You don't get many reps. Mm-hmm. You got a lot of time in the film in the study room and stuff like that. So it's a lot more of a job now than it was when you're playing.
Now you said you're healthy, and let's say that you spend the next year with Green Bay. How old are you going to be going into your free agent year?
I'll be 38, 39.
Jeez! You're like Billy Kilmer. Right? I can't believe how time has flown.
Right?
You know what I'm saying? I can't believe how time has flown. So basically, after you're done with football, you're going to probably play a lot of golf, right?
Yeah. And I'll play a lot of golf. I'm still going to live here. It's a great town.
Beautiful.
We don't want to leave. And my kids are playing. Sean's a hockey player right now. He's been doing that for 4 years now, so he's really enjoying that. Trying to get Zach. Zach likes to play baseball. Mm-hmm. My girls are starting to play a little tennis, so I'll get to be go to the games and stuff like that. Other than that, I'll be at home playing Sega, watching TV.
So you're just
until the weather gets nice, and I'll be on the course.
That's a beautiful thing, and now you've invested your money. Now you are the guy responsible, and I mean he's done a good job for you too. Steve Zucker, an old Senn High School guy. got his start in the agency business with you. Now he's got guys like Deion Sanders, stuff like that. So apparently you guys had one of those retirement plans. You had things set up where your money was invested wisely, huh?
Well, my wife and I both are not, extravagant spenders, and we saved for 7 years when I played here, and saved enough money to build the house that we live in now.
That house, though, I mean, now you got a 30-year mortgage on that baby? I mean, what do you got going?
That's paid for, kid. That's all.
That is a beautiful thing. That house is paid for.
I don't have any bills. I've got money in the bank. I've done real well I've played 15 years now, and I made $1 million 1 year. And at my position, I think that's kind of a crime. But 1 year I was in Minnesota. It's the only year I made over $1 million, and I think I've done well investing it.
Yeah, the lacerated kidney, playing hurt, getting your arm screwed up, stuff like shoulder hurt. Have you ever stopped and really, and I know you have, thought, had you stayed healthy, how many Super Bowls you could have won? Maybe we're looking at a Hall of Fame type of situation here if you stay healthy. You ever stop and think about that?
Well, I thought about it, but it's nothing I can do about it now. I mean, I think the worst decision I made while I was here in Chicago is trying to play in '86 after the first ball game. My arm was gone. I mean, it was shredded, and I had no business being out on the football field. But I kept trying to play, trying to get through it, and that's when all the internal stuff started happening with other players and Coach Ditka even and the trainers and the doctors. And had I just gone and got it taken care of, I don't think any problems would have come out of it.
Most things don't seem to bother you too much, but when one athlete challenges another athlete about faking injury, okay? We had that this year, Brian Cox questioning somebody on the football field, namely, he didn't name him by name, but everybody knew it was Donnell Wolford, and Donnell got upset about that. When Dan Hampton questioned you about that, how much tension was there in their locker room, and really, quite frankly, do you have any use for Dan Hampton today? Because he still, once in a while, will come up on shows and chirp a little bit about McMahon.
Well,
and I'm sure you've read the quotes.
That's Dan, though. I mean, he's got to make himself look better. I'm not I don't think it was everybody else on that football team knew I was hurt. Offensive guys in particular. I think Dan and a few of the other guys were just getting misinformation from the trainers. Because I had heard guys would come back and tell me the stuff that Fred Cato was saying behind my back about me not wanting to play and stuff like that, which was kind of ridiculous because I had played, the previous 3 years. I played with a broken hand. Played with a bad back, and I played a while with my kidney too. So it was very frustrating to hear stuff like that coming from those guys when I'd been doing it my whole career.
Before we take a break, I haven't seen the hairline. Can you just take the hat off for just a second? I want to make sure. Wait.
I still got hair.
I don't want. He's not white tittle. He's still got a head of hair. We'll be back after this. North and McMahon, live from Hollywood Casino. Back after this.
Well, a picture paints 1,000 words, but only one clothier addresses these guys. Clothes for Mr. North and Mr. Suntress, courtesy of Eurodirect Fine Men's Clothing in Bensonville.
All right, Mike North, live at Hollywood Casino with Jim McMahon. Before we go back to Jimmy, Dave from the Little Guys, our sponsor. It's his birthday today. Stand up, Dave. Where you at? There you go. Happy birthday, buddy. Did you ever like Punky QB? Did you ever like the nickname?
No.
You never liked it?
No.
Who gave you that nickname? Just the media or somebody?
I guess the media, after I cut my hair. All of a sudden, I was the Punky QB after I had a bad haircut.
I'll tell you this right now. Willie Gault, I know, is not cutting your hair right now. I mean, it looks decent.
Willie actually saved it. I mean, what you could save of it. I mean,
Jimmy saved that?
I did most of it myself.
Well, I'll tell you what.
I tried to even it out where I had gouged it.
Yeah? No, I'll tell you what.
It was not a pretty sight,
It was
Mike.
brutal. It was absolutely brutal.
Almost cost me a divorce, that haircut.
You know what?
My wife's been cutting my hair for 17 years, and then I took the scissors to it.
Jimmy, I'll tell you this. I'm glad it didn't cost you a divorce because you would be working after football.
Yeah, I would.
Hey,
cheaper to keep her.
That's exactly right. Hey, I'll tell you what. I want to thank you for coming out. We had a great time. You're still, a legend in this town. I think that whole '85 team. You know what? You could just sign footballs for a living if you want to for the rest of your life here in Chicago, and you'll make a ton of dough, man. Appreciate you coming out here.
Thanks a lot. It's good to be back.